Well, what I'm doing today is reflecting on where we are today, the progress we've made to date. For instance, we've saved 70,000 bed days, yielding a saving of 63 million. But it's not so much the money that I'm interested in, but the fact that we can treat more patients more quickly. For the remainder of this year, there's going to be a lot more reform coming in with more legislation, which will see the end of the HSE. We'll see new directorates in place where we'll have clear sight of vision down our budget lines. We'll know what we have spent in hospitals, in community. And we know that primary care is where 95% of people's health needs can be met, and we're determined that that happen now. And I'm working very hard with Minister Roisin Shortall in this area, and we look forward to ensuring that people can get the care that they need in a more cost-effective fashion, much closer to their homes, which is far more convenient for them. And also at a centre where they're familiar with all the staff. So whilst they may have to see a different doctor, it won't be as intimidating as having to go to a hospital where it's a whole new experience. Well, we said in opposition before we came into government that we would make the best use of what we have, and that's what we're doing now through the clinical programmes and through the special delivery unit in cooperation with the frontline staff. And I really want to place on record here today my gratitude and thanks to those people working in the health service who, in the teeth of some extraordinary challenges, 4,515 people leaving the health service since September, 2.5 billion gone out of our 16 billion budget, and a moratorium. And in the face of all that, they're still delivering safe care, and not alone that, but maintaining lower numbers of people who have to endure trolleys. The numbers are still far too high, but they're still 17% down on this time last year. And that is a great piece of progress in my view, and one that we look forward to accelerating as we bring in tighter schedules, i.e. instead of counting the number of people on trolleys of a morning, what we'll be focusing on is the patient experience. No patient should be longer than 9 hours from the time they sign in at the emergency department to the time that they are either discharged to go home or into a bed in the hospital. And for 95% of patients, that time will be 6 hours. Equally, we treated all patients in the country last year, except in 2 hospitals in Galway, within the 12-month period. We've had a bit of slippage at the beginning of the year. We're catching up again on that very quickly, and we're now going to move to a 9-month maximum wait time. And I think this shows that we are making progress. But outside of that, there will be a lot more reform coming in. The HSE will be no more. We will have our directorates in place. We will be moving on then in 2013 to an integrated care agency, bringing in money follows the patient, which we've brought in on a pilot basis already, but which has also saved about 6 million across a number of hospitals just in orthopaedics by insisting that patients are admitted on the day of the procedure rather than the night before, unless they have obviously some coexisting morbidity that requires that. That will be brought in right across the system in 2013-14, and we will move ultimately to universal health insurance. But the big news for this year that will impact on people is the extension of the medical card to all those who are in receipt of the long-term illness books and drugs under that scheme. Well, there's been a major development insofar as that on last Thursday and a couple of days ago, Mr. Frank Dolphin's group met to consider the situation that we find ourselves in following the planning decision. They're going to report back to me within 54 days now, and they'll look at all the options on the table and give advice as to the benefits and the drawbacks in relation to each option. Well, legislation always takes time, and there's several pieces of legislation that have to go through the Dáil in the next session. But before that happens, I've issued a policy directive. It's only been done once before, but it'll be done much more frequently into the future, because I believe the system in advance of legislation needs clear direction. And I've issued a clear directive in relation to our hospitals. I believe there's huge benefit to be gained by having our hospitals organised in groups with a single CEO and Chief Financial Officer, so that we can get the benefit of a proper spread of work between our bigger hospitals and our smaller hospitals. There's been a lot of, I suppose, controversy about some of the facilities that have been taken out of the smaller hospitals because we don't believe they're safe. But there's going to be even more controversy about all the stuff that will be going into them as they move from the bigger hospitals, who won't particularly want to lose them. And the advantage of having a single CEO over a group of hospitals will be that he or she will ensure that there is a good distribution of appropriate work into the different hospitals. I've always found it extraordinary that big tertiary hospitals are performing procedures like varicose veins and gallbladder surgery. It's akin to taking your 10-year-old Volkswagen to the Ferrari testing centre. Certainly they'll do a great job, but your local garage will do the job just as well at an awful lot less money.